I glance at my husband across the breakfast table, his brow furrowed over the newspaper. A familiar wave of boredom washes over me. It's wrong, I know it is. He's a good man, a steady rock, and this dull ache of discontent is solely my own failing. My phone buzzes. It's a flirty text from a coworker. A smile tugs at my lips that's been absent around my husband for far too long. Immediately, I feel the familiar prickle of guilt. This banter, it's fun, but I see the danger in it, the way it casts my marriage in an even more unflattering light. The thrill of the text lingers in the office. My cubicle feels less drab, the hours tick by faster than usual. It's a relief, however temporary, from the heaviness settling into the corners of my life. Yet, with the ease comes a fresh wave of shame. Later, my husband asks about my day. I offer a vague summary, my mind still replaying witty banter with my coworker. I force myself to sound enthusiastic about mundane details, acutely aware of the chasm growing between us. That chasm scares me. I never wanted this. In bed, I turn away from my husband's warmth, the glow of my phone screen a comforting distraction instead. It's not the warmth I crave, it's the excitement, the thrill that's been absent for too long. This can't be good, can it? Conversations with the coworker stretch into late evenings, a secret world where I feel vibrant and seen. The flattery is intoxicating, and I try to ignore the voice growing louder in the back of my head. The voice that says, this could get messy. Guilt pricks, and this time, not so faintly. After all, it's just harmless flirting, a spark to brighten the monotony. Or is it something more? The question lingers, a buzzing mosquito I try in vain to swat away. I meet my coworker for lunch, rationalizing it as work-related. His compliments feel intoxicating after years of feeling taken for granted. The thrill of his attention chases away the nagging voice of caution. A little ego boost, that's all this is, I tell myself. But a knot of unease already tightens in my stomach. We start having drinks after work, laughter flowing easier than it does with my husband. It's wrong, isn't it, to crave conversation with someone else the way I should with my own partner? And yet, I push the nagging thoughts aside. His hand brushes mine during a crowded happy hour. The touch sends a shiver down my spine that I've long forgotten. My breath catches, a sharp contrast to the comfortable numbness I've become accustomed to at home. I linger in the parking lot after work, anticipating the next text, the next shared joke, the next rush. Instead of dread, there's excitement thrumming beneath my skin, mixed with a potent terror at what that means. This isn't just about a neglected marriage, there's something darker blooming inside me. One night, there's a kiss, heated, unexpected, wrong. I rush home, heart pounding with a mix of exhilaration and shame. The exhilaration wins. The rush of it all masks the terror, for now. My husband greets me, oblivious. It's simpler to keep smiling than to confront the abyss that's opened within me. Denial is easier than destroying the life we've built. Lying beside him, I no longer pretend it's just messages. I'm crossing a line I never imagined I would. The thrill is tinged with nausea, and the guilt I once rationalized away now burns hot in my chest. This isn't the escape I sought, it's a trap of my own making. Excuses swirl in my head. I'm unhappy, my husband's distant. It's justification that feels flimsy even to myself. The truth is, I'd let the embers of our marriage cool out of sheer neglect. Responsibility for that lies with me, but swallowing such a bitter truth is near impossible. The affair burns with an intensity I haven't felt in years, making my ordinary life seem unbearably dull. This is where it gets truly dangerous. It's not just the thrill, it's the relief. Relief from confronting the ways I've failed my husband, and more importantly, myself. My lies feel like pebbles at first, then boulders. Late meetings, work trips, a revived interest in an old hobby. Each fabrication chips away at the woman I thought I was. Yet, I keep building the facade. The ease with which the words come frightens me, but I push the fear down. This is temporary, I tell myself. I'll end it, soon. The lie tastes like acid, but I cling to it like a lifeline. My husband notices a change. A spark in my eye, a new dress. I hold his gaze, the guilt burning hotter. There's a flicker of hope in his expression, and that hope is the sharpest weapon of all. He deserves better than this half-hearted version of me. Suspicion flickers across his face, and I deflect. A tiny crack forms in the illusion of our normal life. Did I imagine it, or was the question in his eyes real? Maybe this charade can't last much longer, a prospect that both terrifies and exhilarates me. My resolve wavers, but desire overpowers it. I'm addicted to the stolen moments, the feeling of being desired. It's validation tainted with poison, and I swallow it greedily. This can't be my forever, but I've lost the map leading me out of the labyrinth I've built. I begin to live a double life. Meticulous in my lies, reckless in my affair. Compartmentalization becomes my superpower. Phone calls carefully timed, excuses crafted with a practiced ease that makes me sick. My husband and my lover inhabit separate worlds in my mind. One is stability, the other a dangerous escape. The lines between the two become blurry, the escape leaching color from the reality I'd once taken for granted. Nights are a blur of stolen text exchanges and the lingering scent of another man on my skin. Sleep evades me. Every creak of the house sounds like accusation, every rustle sounds like discovery. I tell myself I'm in control, but the control is an illusion. I'm hurtling down a path I can't seem to turn away from. The fear fuels me, the possibility of losing everything, the life I built, the man who trusts me, my own distorted reflection, becomes an aphrodisiac. I convince myself that my husband won't ever know. Arrogance replaces fear. I believe, foolishly, in my own invincibility. After all, I'm getting so good at the deception. How can I possibly fail? Close calls make my heart race. Every forgotten text is a potential bomb waiting to detonate. Each time I wriggle free, the relief is sharp, followed by a plunge deeper into the madness. My survival instincts should be screaming, yet they're silent. I start to see danger everywhere, but instead of stopping, the risk becomes part of the thrill. I'm playing a game with consequences I can't fully fathom. Yet, the stakes are what make it all so intoxicating. My smiles feel brittle. Laughter with my husband is forced, carrying an echo of betrayal. There's a hollowness behind my eyes that he can't quite pinpoint, but that doesn't stop the tendrils of his worry. I hate myself for that worry, it's gasoline on the fire of my guilt. Every shared moment, every "I love you," becomes a shard of broken glass lodged in my throat. Whispering those words, once a sincere pledge, feels like the cruelest of jokes. I'm playing a role, and with each loving gesture, I sink deeper into the quicksand of my own deceit. Sleep evades me. I alternate between insomnia and nightmares of discovery and loss. Waking up is the worst. The relief of it being a dream fades, replaced by the crushing reality of my choices. I'm exhausted. My very bones ache with the effort of keeping up the charade. Small things set me off. I snap at my husband, projecting my own guilt as resentment towards him. His bewilderment is yet another form of torture. He didn't deserve this version of me, the bitter shell of the woman he married. I become a stranger in my own skin, haunted by the person I have become. Sometimes I look in the mirror and don't recognize the desperate, hungry eyes staring back. My reflection is a grotesque mockery of the person I thought I was, the person I wanted to be. I start imagining escape routes, scenarios where this could all just disappear. An overseas job offer, an accident that conveniently erases my memory of the affair. The fantasies are as pathetic as they are dangerous. The truth is, there's no disappearing from this. Yet, I choose none of them. I'm paralyzed, terrified of exposure, and still desperately clinging to the affair. It's a sickness. I know, with agonizing clarity, that I'm the architect of my own destruction. Yet, I keep building the tower, even as the foundation crumbles beneath my feet. I notice my husband watching me more closely, a flicker of doubt in his eyes that I've never seen before. It chills me to the bone. Is the facade finally starting to crack? The foundation is unstable. One strong tremor could send everything crumbling. A quiet distance stretches between us. We exist in the same spaces, but it's a hollow performance. Meals are eaten in stilted conversation, the television filling the void of things left unsaid. Even pretending is a task I no longer have the strength for. The thrill of the affair is tainted with dread. One careless mistake could bring it all crashing down. I've become my own worst enemy, jumpy at every innocuous text, suspicious of every glance my husband gives my phone. My paranoia isn't without cause. I'm playing with fire, and it's only a matter of time before I get burned. My lover starts pushing for more time, more commitment, an ultimatum I'm not prepared to give. He wants me to leave my husband, to start a new life. The absurdity of it finally breaks through the fog. What life? One built on lies, where I would be everything I've come to despise. Suddenly, the affair feels claustrophobic, the price of the lie looming larger than the temporary high. It was never the solution to my discontent, merely a more insidious problem dressed up as freedom. Panic sets in. This was never how it was supposed to go. I never meant to hurt anyone, certainly not myself. The desperation in that thought is a cold fist around my heart. Everything is crashing inwards, a slow-motion train wreck that I set in motion. Late one night, a text from my lover goes unanswered. For the first time, I let the silence stretch out. It's a tiny act of rebellion, a single brick pulled from the tower of my self-destruction. It doesn't feel like victory, more like the first breath taken after being submerged too long. I reach out to my husband, a clumsy attempt to bridge the space I've created between us. Words spill out. Apologies tinged with self-preservation, half-truths riddled with shame. His expression is a mask I can't decipher. His guarded warmth feels like a lifeline and a condemnation at the same time. He's reaching back, hesitant but willing to explore a path towards healing. Shame floods me anew. He deserves so much better than this broken version of me. I become hyper-focused on fixing things, desperate gestures meant to undo the damage. Grand displays of affection and meticulous caretaking become my offerings. It's a pathetic attempt at penance, and I suspect he sees right through it. My husband is confused but tentatively hopeful. Seeing his willingness to give this another chance pierces the armor I've built. The relief is a balm, but the guilt remains a constant, throbbing ache. Did I deserve this second chance? The affair is still a pull, but the desire to end it, to reclaim some shred of integrity, grows stronger. It's a battle waged within myself, a war between the siren call of self-destruction and the faintest hope for redemption. My lover becomes resentful, sensing my withdrawal. His texts turn accusatory, then desperate. Each unanswered message is a hammer blow chipping away at my resolve. He paints me as the villain, and he's not entirely wrong. I block his number, a wave of relief and terror washing over me. It's done, but nothing feels resolved. I'm cut adrift, the wreckage of the affair still clinging to me. Worse still, my marriage is in shambles, built on a new foundation of deceit. The lie strangles me. I cannot build a future on this poisoned foundation. My attempts at repair were merely sand castles against the relentless tide of my deception. The truth claws its way out, desperate and inevitable. One evening, I sit my husband down, words tumbling out in a rush I can't control. The confession is a brutal thing, a self-inflicted detonation. Each detail strips away the facade I so painstakingly crafted, revealing the monster beneath. The shock and pain in his eyes are a physical blow. Every word lands like a hammer. It mirrors the agony I feel internally, the destruction of the us we'd built. The silence stretches after I finish, agonizing and thick. He stares at me, a stranger. I don't blame him. In this moment, I am unrecognizable even to myself. The woman he married is gone, replaced by a hollow shell inhabited by betrayal. His questions are brutal, every detail peeling back another layer of self-deception. They're not asked out of cruelty, but from a desperate need to understand how I, could have happened. No excuses I offer feel sufficient. The truth is ugly and undeniable. Explanations wither in the face of the damage I've caused. I am the architect of his pain, and there is no absolution I can offer, none I truly deserve. My apology feels empty, even to my own ears. I've broken something fundamental, perhaps irreparable. His devastation shatters what remained of my pride. Remorse lances me, yet, it feels too little, far too late. An endless night of ragged sobs and his cold silence. The house feels suffocating. Each shared item, the chipped coffee mug, the worn throw on the sofa, becomes a mocking reminder of everything I've destroyed. Sleep is an elusive luxury. In the morning, his eyes are like stone. He speaks in clipped sentences, making practical arrangements. His composure is a stark contrast to my disintegration. There's an efficiency to his pain, the logistics of separating a life we spent years entwining. Numbness sets in. This isn't how it was supposed to end, but what other ending was possible? The question is rhetorical. I know, without a shadow of a doubt, that there was never another path in the aftermath of my choices. Days become a blur of logistics. His lawyer, packing boxes, the chilling finality of it all. I am a spectator to my own downfall, signing papers that end a marriage I wasn't worthy of. each finalized detail a fresh blow to my already shattered spirit. The whispers start. Friends choose sides, some disappearing altogether. Judgment hangs heavy in the air. The stares, both of pity and gleeful disdain, flay open the wounds of my self-inflicted humiliation. He leaves. The door closing behind him feels like a death knell. Our home, once a sanctuary, is now a mausoleum of dead dreams. I thought I knew loneliness, but this is a desolate wasteland within my own skin. Alone in the shell of our former life, the stark realization hits. I cheated, thinking he'd always love me, but he walked out and never looked back. It is the epitaph I deserve, a cold truth to echo in the hollow spaces of my heart for the rest of my days. Shame has burrowed deep within me, a relentless parasite feeding on my soul. I dissect the past with a morbid fascination, each remembered moment a shard of glass cutting into the open wound of what if. The question echoes unanswered, a haunting reminder that the past is as unchangeable as death itself. Regret is a suffocating weight, a physical ache residing just below my ribs. The fantasy of fixing what I've destroyed is a poisonous indulgence. There is no undo button, no balm powerful enough to heal the scars I've carved into another person's heart. Self-loathing has become my native language. Every morning, my reflection is a monstrous stranger sneering back at my disgust. The worst part is the clarity. I wasn't misled or manipulated. I wasn't blindsided by some grand tragedy. I was the architect of my own ruin, fueled by a cocktail of selfishness and willful ignorance. Solitude is a suffocating cell, yet venturing out into the world feels like walking a gauntlet. Eyes that were once friendly now brim with accusation, or worse, with pity. I see my fall from grace mirrored back at me, and the shame burns anew. Sleep is a cruel trick. My dreams are infested with nightmares where our roles are reversed. I become him, trapped in his pain, his devastation. I wake in clammy sheets, my own betrayal a bitter taste I cannot wash away. Anger flares in brief, desperate bursts. I lash out at him in my mind, at my lover whose promises were as hollow as my own heart, but most of all, at myself. I am my own primary target, my fury a pathetic mirror of my self-destruction. Slowly, the sharp edges of despair begin to soften. The clamor within me quiets, replaced by a bone-deep exhaustion. I'm left with an aching hollowness, the ruins of who I used to be. Staring at my shattered reflection, I see only a stranger. This is my new reality, a desolate wasteland born of my own doing. Yet, a strange thing persists, a flicker of something that refuses to be completely extinguished. Foolish as it seems, hope, or perhaps sheer stubbornness, claws for purchase amidst the ruins. Maybe, far down the line, redemption is possible. Not the forgiveness I crave but don't deserve, but the possibility of rebuilding into something less monstrous. It's a fragile ember, but it's all I have.